How's everybody doing?
Okay. Well, it's great to be back for another season of Pirate football. Obviously, really excited about the opener. Having an opportunity to go up and play in an iconic venue like the Big House in Ann Arbor is going to be a great opportunity for our program, for our players and coaches. I think everyone knows what kind of team we're encountering. Most experts will tell you on paper they're the most talented team in the country this year, and they return a lot of experience off of a college football playoff team the last 2 years. They've done a great job building a tremendous program. We're very excited about our group. It's been a solid preseason camp, as we've discussed. The guys have been preparing for Michigan for about a week now. Really solid end to last week. Had probably, we did kind of a simulated game. It's all the situations and all the scenarios that can come up and kind of special plays and things like that. We did that on Friday. Easily as clean and smooth as I've ever had one go, and that's really a credit to kind of the focus and the character and the intent that our current roster has. So it felt really good coming out of last week. Had a short practice on Sunday, and then today's our heavy work day. Today and tomorrow will be the heavy lifting for this week, getting in all of our padded work before kind of sharpening up on Thursday with all of our late game scenarios and special teams and just kind of ironing out the game plan there, and then get ready for the trip on Friday. So excited about the opportunity to go up there and compete, and looking forward to getting to 12 o'clock on Saturday. Questions?
Coach, you have the adrenaline of the season opener, playing in front of maybe as big a crowd as ECU ever has. How do you find the balance with your team of trying to take advantage of the opportunity, but also keeping it level and not trying to do too much?
Right. I think that's that was the message I kind of shared with the team on Sunday. Was one thing we have to be conscientious of, and it's everybody's going to be excited on Saturday. The players are already excited. They're going to be highly motivated, and we've got to focus on, each of us individually, focus on our role, focus on doing our job, playing our position, playing our part, playing within the scheme, and not trying to do too much. I watched all their films from last year, and just time after time, you see games break open because someone gets kind of outside of their wheelhouse of what they should be doing, or they force something, or they try to do too much with something, and it turns into a big mistake. And that's kind of how they made their living on last year, was taking advantage of mistakes of their opponents. And so what we got to do is we got to try to really focus on playing as clean of a game as we can, executing at a high level, and in all three phases we kind of laid out. These are the things that we really need to do in order to maximize our opportunity to go up there and come away with a win.
Coach, you've orchestrated an upset or two in your career. In those games, what were some of the things that your teams as underdogs were able to do, and maybe that's the kind of thing you got to do this week?
Well, I think in those games in the past, and to be honest, for those teams, we were playing in big venues. South Carolina, we played in front of 80,000 fans. And I think that our players from the start in those games, they didn't let the surrounding environment impact them. They stayed really dialed in to it's just another game. It's no different than wherever our home field is or whatever. And that's the reason we're going to the stadium on Friday, because we want to kind of check the box off on, well, this is one of the largest stadiums in the country, and this is going to be 110,000 in here, but still you're playing on the same dimensions and the same rules, and you're playing against 11 guys. And so just keeping the focus on doing the things that we do every day in practice, and just not letting the environment be too big for them.
I know you try to avoid outside noise, positive and negative, but
right.
If words like cupcake and layup are used, does that creep into the locker room, motivational stuff like that?
you know, no matter what anybody thinks on the outside, it's not going to impact what we do on game day. And it's the external expectations can never drive our internal motivation. And it's, you know, I've had the talking heads say stuff like that, and then they have to eat their words after the game. So, you know, that's part of it, and that's what they do. You know, they sit up there, and their job is to entertain audiences. And so, you know, our focus is on our players, our coaches. You know, control what we can control. Doing a great job making sure the Pirates are ready to play and kick off on Saturday and get after it.
You talk about your special teams, the importance of special teams in a game like this, the hitting yardage, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very important. You know, we talked about it this morning. You know, we've got to do a great job, whether it's, you know, your kicker, your punter, your coverage units, protections, whatever. We got to do a great job of trying to create as long of a field as possible for them. You know, each possession. You know, the more we can, you know, give them a long ways to drive in order to capitalize, you know, the more successful we're going to be. And conversely, you know, the better job we can do of giving our offense, you know, great field position throughout the day. You know, the numbers just, you know, they'll tell you that field position is going to dictate, you know, your percentages as far as scoring on each drive. So controlling the field position through the special teams is going to be critical on Saturday.
You know, you talked about the venue, you know, all the people, the size. It's probably going to be pretty loud. I guess, what attention have you guys paid to the offense, just kind of getting those checks in, calls in, with,
right,
you know, so much noise happening around them?
Well, you know, fortunately, we've got a lot of experience playing in loud environments. I mean, I don't think anything will ever compare to the Fargo Dome up in North Dakota. And I mean, I've been to the Swamp. You know, I've been to a lot of different places. You know, BYU was very loud last year. You know, but you know, preparing for venues like that, you know, we try to simulate that in practice, trying to create during our team periods so much noise that it makes it hard for the kids to communicate, because that's what it's going to be. You know, when it gets loud in that stadium and it's hard for us to hear on offense, you know, we've got to focus in on being able to communicate without verbal words. And so, you know, our offensive staff has a lot of experience handling stuff like that, and so we've been working on that for a few weeks.
This is only one of 2 times throughout the season. We're going to have 2 weeks to see the scout team for a specific team. Do you have higher expectations going into this week of practice, since you've already pretty much ran this week, last week? Yeah,
I mean, they should have figured out how to function last week, and that's the first week that you exchange scouts. It's challenging for those guys. You know, you have a freshman that comes in here, or you have a guy that's been in the program for a year or so, and you know, everybody's trying to make the travel squad, and all of a sudden, you know, you figure out that this year you're going to be, or at least starting out, because it changes, it's fluid throughout the year, but so you're starting out on the look team. You know, that messes with your psyche a little bit, and that's just human nature, and so we try to work through all that last week. Now, you know, the difference is now it's game week, okay? I ain't got time to worry about anybody's feelings right now. I mean, we got to go out there and get work done. Everybody's got a role. Everybody's got a job. Everybody's going to be committed to the you know, common goal, which is the Pirates getting a win. And so everybody's got to go out and they got to do what they're supposed to do on a daily basis. Today's practice is a fully padded practice. I am trying to be conscientious that I want us fresh on game day, so we've made it about as short as you can possibly have a Tuesday, which that means every rep today is critical. We don't have time to repeat a play or repeat a look or whatever because somebody is not focused. So, you know, our focus today at practice is critical, and I do have very high expectations for it.
Coach, in those games that you mentioned earlier, the big time games where you're the underdog, how important is offense and offensive control of the ball in this game in particular?
Well, I think it's more of, you know, staying away from the big mistakes that give your opponent something that they didn't have to earn. I think that's the biggest thing from an offensive standpoint. Just staying away from the big errors. It's okay to throw a ball away every once in a while. You know, it's okay to punt, okay? What's not okay to do is lay the ball on the ground on the 10-yard line. What's not okay is to throw a post route into post coverage and give up a cheap interception. You know, so I think that's the bigger thing, especially early in the ball game. Early in the ball game, because you do have all those juices and everything, it's going to be not making the big mistake that gives them momentum. Staying in the game early, because after that everybody's going to kind of settle down, and then it's going to come down to playing the game.
Coach, I asked you a media day about the quarterback situation. If you could name one, a starter. I got to ask again, or is it something you plan to take in the game day?
We're going to have 70 guys get on that plane Friday and head to Ann Arbor. And when we take the field on offense, there'll be 11 out there. And it'll be the same way on defense. And I'll tell you, every year that goes by, you always look and evolve and stuff. And I'll tell you, if you ask me to put together a depth chart, I mean, there'd be so many names on there. And I couldn't really tell you, this is a starter and this is not, because there may be a guy that might be listed on a depth chart as a 2, but he's going to be out there for the first snap. So technically he's a starter. And we're going to play a lot of guys on both sides of the football. We're going to play a lot of guys on special teams that have critical roles. And so, we know who's going to take the first snap, and everybody else will find out at 12:00, whatever the kickoff time is on Saturday.
Your offensive line was a question mark going in. Your comfort level with your O-line and your rotation you have going into this, how you feeling about them this week?
Well, I think we found 5 guys that are working together pretty good right now for the last couple of weeks, and we've moved some guys around. I think we found our next, 2 or 3 guys that we're going to, use in the rotation. And again, just like everything else, that's going to be a fluid process throughout the year. But I think we know who our group is going into this game. Now, they're going to be challenged as much in this game as any game they'll have this year. You're facing arguably the number 1 defense in the country. With 8 of 11 starters back from that team last year. So, you're facing a great challenge, which is fantastic. You find out exactly what you are. I think that the coaches have done a great job of game plan-wise putting together, a plan that's going to allow our guys to have success and allow our guys to go out there and compete. And the big thing I want them to do is playing fast and, not thinking and not being hesitant.
You just mentioned playing a lot of guys probably on Saturday. Is that just because there's still some evaluating to do, or is that just sort of a testament to the depth you guys have and you feel comfortable playing a whole bunch of different guys?
No, I think it's number one. It's a blessing to have the depth on this roster that we have, and I think a lot of guys have earned the right to play. Number 2, I think it's going to be a necessity. When you get in these ball games and you're facing fronts that have the size that we're going to see on Saturday. If you don't play a lot of guys, they're going to wear you down. Fortunately, like for example, our defensive front, we have quality depth and we have a lot of guys with experience. And our goal is to get those guys into the second half fresh, and that way we can play at a high level throughout the game.
Coach, during media day, you made a Gene Hackman Hoosiers reference going into this game. Have you made any other lines to your team from a famous sports movie?
No, it's just, the whole point of that was, we're, like I said earlier, we're going to try to check the box on the venue on Friday, and that way it's not an issue on Saturday. You're playing in an iconic venue Saturday, and you're playing in one that we all grew up watching games on TV, some of the great matchups in this venue. And so we just want to check that off on Friday, and that way our kids are solely focused on playing the game on Saturday.
I was just curious with the Michigan's coaching situation, Harbaugh obviously sitting out and the OC, from a prep standpoint, does that change anything for you guys, or is it more just, outside noise you don't have to worry too much about?
I'd rather them sit some of those players out. Right. So, what they have coming back. I don't think it will impact their scheme at all. They have an experienced play caller that'll call the game on Saturday. We know him a little bit, and I'm sure that they're coaching the team throughout the week. So they're going to put the game plan together. They just got to have a couple of guys implemented on game day. So I think it'll have a minimal impact on the game overall.